Hello, everybody. Hello. When we hear the word improv, we often think funny, wacky scenarios, stuff like, whose line is it anyway? Perhaps your mind jumps to something that isn't actually improv, but is improv adjacent, something like Saturday Night Live, maybe. Or the comedy club that almost certainly is in your city called simply the Improv, where improv performance doesn't actually happen. It's really more of a place for stand-up comedy. People who practice improv have a lot of feelings about the form, a lot of feelings. For example, do we like it better if it's the short-form theater of games, the kind of thing that you see on Whose Line, or more complex, long-form scenarios that might last up to an hour or even longer? Is it better if it's from New York or Chicago, kind of like pizza? In Truth and Comedy, the 1952 Manual for Improvisation by Del Close, Charna Hapburn, and Kim Howard Johnson, improv is defined as making it up as you go along. Another definition that I really like is a play without a script. You know what else is a play without a script that we're making up as we go along? Life. Wow. So how do we do that, like on a day-to-day basis? How do we make it up as we go along? I mean, technically we're always doing it, but I believe that by employing some basic components of improv, we can do it in a way that makes us more compassionate, mindful members of society. I'm thinking specifically of the #1 rule of improv, which is yes and. Yes and is a bridge between points in a conversation. So if someone said to you, let's go to the movies, you might respond, yes, and let's buy popcorn. Or if you're feeling a little chaotic that day and someone says, let's go to the movies, maybe you say, yes, and let's sneak in all of our snacks. As with all things improv, there's debate about this #1 rule. There's other things that people like to say is the #1 rule of improv. Things like don't think twice and never say no. Don't think twice and never say no. And I do like both of these rules when it comes to actual improv, because what they're getting at is the idea that acting is reacting, right? And actors and improvisational performers are forever striving for the appearance of real life. Verisimilitude is a fancy vocab word for that. But we aren't acting, right? We're actually trying to live our lives. So, in order to use these rules of improv in our everyday life, I propose that we eliminate these inherently negative and limiting versions of the rule. Don't think twice. Actually, we do want to stop and consider our words before we say them out loud. And never say no. I mean, there's plenty of times when we should say no in life. And instead, focus on the positive, thoughtful power of yes and. So, let's run through some scenarios, how this might work. This first one I'm going to do is we're going to simulate an improv scenario. So I'm going to be playing both characters. The first person is going to offer a simple statement, right? So they might say something like, oops, yes and means that we listen to what was offered and add something to it. That's important. All right, here come our scenarios. So the first person might say something like, I had a bagel for breakfast this morning. That's actually true. Yum. Doesn't have to be true, but it happens to be. The second person is going to, again, listen to what was offered and add something to it. So they might say something like, yes, and the bagel had cream cheese on it. That's nice, because we're adding detail to the situation, right? Our picture of the bagel is becoming clearer. It's zooming into high definition. Okay, that's super fun, but how about a real-life scenario? What about like a group project? So you get your group project assignment, and the first person emails the group, and maybe they say something like, Dear group project members, I propose that we focus on the plays of William Shakespeare for our theater history assignment. And let's say in this scenario, I'm not so interested in focusing exclusively on William Shakespeare. I mean, dude gets a lot of attention, right? But I want to prove that I'm a team player and make sure that my ideas are heard as well. I could respond with something like, Dear group project members, yes, I think that the idea of focusing on theater of the 1500s is a great idea. And I propose expanding our presentation beyond just Shakespeare and including female playwrights of the era, such as Aphra Behn. So, we've listened to what was offered, we've identified the part that's useful to us, and we've added our own flair to it, right? There's no rule that says that we have to accept 100% of what the person speaking before us has offered. But at the same time, we want to get along with this group project group that we might be working with for quite some time. So we find what we love about what they said and add our own thing to it. Let's illustrate the opposite of yes and, because I think that's helpful too. So what's the opposite of yes and. It's no but, exactly. Nailed it, no but. So let's see how a no but type of attitude would roll with our examples from today. Person A, I had a bagel for breakfast this morning. Actually, it was cereal. Dear group project members, I propose that we focus on the plays of William Shakespeare for our theater history assignment. Dear group project members, I think your idea is bad. I want to do Chekhov. No, but it's the antithesis of collaboration and cooperation. We can't simply negate what others have to say, even though, as it did here, we do get a funny, quick sort of laugh from it, right? Like, those were funny little jokes, but they don't engender collaboration and cooperation. We actually can't continue building our scenario from there without doing repair first. So we have to listen to what we like and go from there. Now, these are written examples, right? This is an email. We have lots of time to process there. And real life doesn't work like that. Oftentimes we're having face-to-face conversations. And that's where the whole don't think twice thing comes from. But in order to not think twice, we really have to train ourselves to make yes and a part of our daily vocabulary. And I will tell you, I have taught enough students, literally from ages 5 to 85, about improv to tell you that most of us don't default to yes and when we're in stressful situations. We tend to do the opposite, in fact. We close in, we retreat inside ourselves, we make an easy joke. It's a defense mechanism. It's totally normal and we all do it. But we can overcome it with work. And a great way to practice this is with the written word, right? Things like emails, or think about the internet. The internet would certainly love for you to believe that you have to have a response ready to go at any second, right? Think about any comment that you have ever seen on the internet. It's probably like a gut reaction takedown. But we don't have to do that. So my invitation to you is that the next time you are faced with the written word in a way that challenges you, whether it's a comment on the internet, an email, or perhaps even a text message, don't go with that gut reaction. Find what you like about it and build from there. But the best way to practice using yes and is by playing improv games, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. We are going to play a game together, and it's actually the game that I've been demonstrating all along today, and it is called simply yes and. So here's how the game works now that we're going to be playing it. The first person, this will be me, will offer a simple statement. The bagel thing was true. It doesn't have to be a true statement, so maybe the statement I choose this time is, oops, and of course we want to use cooperation, compassion, and listening as we're doing this. Listening. All right, so here we go with our examples. Simple statement example, I'm a cat. I'm not a cat, but for the purposes of this scenario, now I'm a cat. And everyone who's playing with me is going to be a cat, and we're all going to build the qualities of this cat together, okay? So, first person says, I am a cat. The next person is going to use the bridge statement of yes and add a detail to that cat. I'm a cat. Yes, and I have a pink nose, and we could go on forever. Yes, and I need to get my nails trimmed. Yes, and I tried to steal my owner's food last night, et cetera, right? We're building a scenario together. We are all the cat. We're not creating a conversation. I'm a cat. Yes, and I'm a dog. No, we are all the cat. Okay, makes sense? I would love to get 4 brave volunteers from the audience to come up and play this game with me. Can I see some hands? Yes, 1. I need 3 more. 2 more. 3, oh no, that was just the person who already stood up. 2 more people? It's gonna be so fun, I promise. I'm very nice. We can also play it with just the 3 of us. That sounds fun to me, if that sounds okay to you too. Okay, great. So let's line up, let's form a line. This is a very improv thing to do. We're in our lovely little line. We call this a back line, but that's a different talk. Okay, great. Any questions before we start? Yeah? I'll offer a simple statement, and you say yes and build on it, and you say yes and build on it. And remember, it doesn't have to be true, it just can't contradict something that's already been said. Okay? Great. So, simple statement, let's go. Yesterday, it snowed.
Yes, and the sun shined, but also it hailed.
Good, yes, good. So we had, yesterday it snowed, let's move down this way, we've got 2 more volunteers, amazing. So yesterday it snowed, yes, and the sun shined. What else?
Yes, and the snowman I built melted.
Amazing.
Yes, and I was so sad because I worked so hard on that snowman.
Oh.
Yes,
And my mom made me chicken noodle soup, so then I was happy again.
Oh my gosh, what a wholesome scenario we've created together. Let's get a round of applause for our fabulous volunteers. Thank you, everybody. You may go back to your seats. Amazing textbook. So there we have it. Yes, and. In life, we want to make sure that we are leading with cooperation, compassion, and listening. It's like running a marathon in a way. You're not just going to wake up one day and automatically know how to do this. We have to really work at making yes and a part of our daily vocabulary. So, the next time that you find yourself in a stressful situation where you feel a gut reaction being triggered, I invite you to pause, listen to what was offered, identify the useful part of it, and add something to it. Thank you, everybody.